Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm the Curious Lo.
And today we're going to tell you how we felt about Jurassic World. Lo, welcome back once again.
Hi, I'm back.
Before we get rolling on this review, I want to mention that I have every intention of continuing to have Lo on this program as often as humanly possible, and that she is not here just because this is another movie associated with a theme park.
I know, right?
I just don't want people to think that I only bring Lo on for theme park movies. If you missed our Tomorrowland review, Curious Lo works at Disneyland, and she wanted to do that movie because it was related to Disneyland. And now we got another theme park movie. We did not plan this. Hilarious.
No. And there were so many Disney, like, I was like, ooh, that's Disney. Like, things that I don't think you would have picked up on. But I was like, oh, that's totally something that Disney World does, or totally something that Disneyland does, like, as a theme park thing, so.
Well, and you noticed that it's weird, too, how these two movies are related, and we'll have to talk about that, because you noticed in the credits that, or maybe you noticed that Brad Bird has a special thanks credit.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I was so focused on getting home to shoot this that I didn't stay through the credits. I was like, I hope there's not an after credits scene.
There
like,
wasn't. I stayed just in case. But yeah, he not only did he have a special thanks credit, I don't know what he did for the movie, but he had a special thanks credit, but he also was voiced something like somebody on the tram or something like that. His voice is in there somewhere. So anyway,
that's kind of cool.
I thought that was funny, and then once again another Michael Giacchino soundtrack, which we'll have to talk about because I have things to say about that. Anyway, so Jurassic World, obviously the fourth movie in the Jurassic Park franchise. It's been a really long time since we've had one of these. The last one was Jurassic Park 3 in the early 2000s, which was barely memorable and way too short, and in fact, the biggest thing I remember two things mostly about that movie. One, pterodactyls, and two, I almost got in a car crash on the way to see it. Those are the two things I most remember about that movie.
Well, so, then, probably wasn't a very memorable movie if that's what you remember.
This is a movie that I have been looking forward to for a long time, both since it was announced and before that. I always wanted to see this concept. I always wanted to see the park realized. And so my synopsis is going to be simply, this is the park realized. And as far as synopsis goes, it's everything you saw in the trailers. The major stuff that's the backbone of the story and plot for this is that it's the park realized. We've got a guy who has figured out how to kind of sort of control or at least work with velociraptors, and then the big threat is a brand new dinosaur that they created because they can't just leave well enough alone, and they've got to keep upping the game so that they can keep maximizing the profits. So that's where, of course, a lot of the social commentary comes from. Anyway, that's it. So let's go ahead and get right into it. We're going to find out what Curious Lo feels, how she felt watching Jurassic World. Go ahead.
All right. I'm a big fan of Jurassic Park, so I said, I feel like I just watched the sequel that Jurassic Park deserved. I mean, as fun as the other two sequels are, they're nothing compared to the first movie. And I will say that this still isn't, for me, quite on the level of Jurassic Park.
I don't think it is either.
But it's so much closer than the other two ever got. And I think chiefly that's because it brought back the sense of wonder that you got with the first movie that you can't really get when you're just running around, from dinosaurs. Like, you can't get that wonder because it's just straight up disaster horror movie, but like
thriller.
Yeah, thriller. Like you actually got that sense of wonder. I mean, I was freaking out I love kids, and so I was freaking out about the dinosaur petting zoo. I loved it so much. Like, the whole first part of the movie just, it made me feel like I was watching Jurassic Park for the first time with Jurassic World. I loved it.
Best thing, worst thing?
Best thing is the wonder.
Okay.
Best thing is the wonder coming back for sure. Like, that was such a missed thing in the other two sequels. Worst thing, I would say that they don't have quite as much suspense in this one as you saw in the other three movies, especially in Jurassic Park. it was still there a little bit, but there just wasn't, there wasn't that equivalent to like the kitchen scene where you're just creeping around and, trying to be silent and stuff like that. There were a couple quick scenes that had that sort of element, but not as much. And I think that's where this movie missed the mark as far as actually reaching the level that Jurassic Park is at for me.
So we've still got to get you a sign, but I'm gonna assume you'd flip red, yeah, or green, yes?
No, green.
Okay, so Lo's flipping green. I love, by the way, Lo's new whiteboard. She can fill up the entire screen with.
It's like I'm not here.
It's on. It's like I don't even have to edit that. It's like an intercut, an intertitle in the middle of the frame. Anyway, all right. Well, Lo, this movie made me feel like I might have a shot at owning that pet semi-domesticated Velociraptor I always wanted. Sometime in my lifetime. My favorite thing about Jurassic Park was always the Velociraptor, and whenever I have, for whatever reason, had to answer the question, "What is your favorite animal?" It's always been Velociraptor, an extinct thing that doesn't exist, that we don't even know if it really even looks and acts like this exactly, but kind of my favorite thing, and I really enjoyed the way that they were used in this. A lot of people really worried, of course, about the whole notion of domesticating Velociraptors, and I use that term really loosely because it's not that. I thought they handled that with care.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. I like that Chris Pratt's character is controlling them as far as you probably ever could, but he still is sometimes in danger with them, of course, and it's like a lion tamer. You know what I mean? Like you can kind of tame them, but it's all about that relationship, and you're always gonna be you always have to keep checking and balancing that. I also really like the way that plays in thematically, because the whole training Velociraptor idea is about having respect for nature, and of course that's what the first movie was about. We have now modernized and contemporized that, which I feel like a broken record. That's the thing I feel like I keep having to say every time we have a sequel to anything that's been a long time since we've had something in a franchise, where it's always about kind of doing the modern day equivalent of the thing, and that works best when it really speaks to a modern day audience and isn't just trying to do the exact same thing, but it's sort of like, I reviewed Poltergeist a couple weeks ago, and I feel like that kind of did that, where it was sort of, okay, here's the modern equivalent, but what are we really saying about technology now? I feel like this was at least broaching discussing some of the stuff that we were dealing with in '94 with Jurassic Park, but in a modern day way. So obviously, famously, you have Jeff Goldblum's speech in the first movie about you figured out how to do a thing, but you never stopped to think if you should. And this takes that farther to, because what I think is really interesting about this is that they made it work. You know what I mean? And if they had just stopped there, it would have been fine. They could have had that part for 100 years probably, and they figured out how to do it. And basically, it's just a matter of don't have that guy running your tech and then turn off the fences, But anyway, so they found a way to make the whole thing work, and so this is more about it's continuing that idea and repeating history and not learning from it, but also it's the problem we deal with all the time of we take things for granted too fast. We innovate, we figure stuff out, and then it's like a light switch. It's really fast where people are no longer wowed by it, and that's why I thought it was really cool that you brought up the wow factor, because I feel like that's true even of people watching this series. As these progressed, the second one, fewer people were wowed, and the third one, nobody went and saw it. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of interesting that we needed a lot of time away from it again, and then
the fact that they were so aware of the movie they were creating and poking fun at product placement, yet they still had product placement
tons
in the movie,
of it.
and poking fun at the fact that upping the wow factor, and they're literally upping the wow factor with a genetically engineered dinosaur is funny, I think. I don't know if that's the word I want to use, but it's just such a weird thing for them to have done.
Well, it's not just weird, it's intentional, and I think it's a good idea. It's because it's basically saying, well, we're making this movie because it has name and brand recognition, but the people making it have reverence for this material, and so that shines through. But the reason something like this gets made is because you know it's probably going to make money because it's a thing that was super popular and it's been a while since we've had one. So there's a certain amount of certainty where you can make that money back, and that's why franchises these days never seem to end. We keep bringing everything back. The question on everybody's minds when the trailers for this first came out was, is this a movie that needed to be made? And I'm on the fence about that because you mentioned that you loved that beginning portion more than the rest of it. I had exactly the same thing. I thought the way that all the social commentary stuff was set up, again, specifically with the idea of even with something like genetically engineered dinosaurs. I love that line of now for kids, it's just like seeing elephants. It's like, we know there are dinosaurs now, we brought them back, it's not a big deal. Something that I wish they'd come right out and said, but it's kind of there, is you got a ton of kids that were born after the fact that are teenagers now and have never lived in a world without dinosaurs. It's exactly like the internet. I mean, that's so cool. There was a time where TV made everybody lose their minds. The first people that ever saw movies, famously you had the silent film era with a train that's coming at the screen, and people freaked out because they thought they were going to get hit by it. And we don't have that anymore because we have it, and none of us have lived in a world before there were movies. It was all set up really well, and then I think the way they went about dealing with all of it was a little typical. My biggest complaint, and by the way, I did really, really enjoy the movie, and I think it's everything I wanted, especially from a summer blockbuster, spectacle, and a Jurassic Park sequel, and even ideal-wise, but it is kind of, as far as the structure goes, carbon copy the first movie.
It is a little bit. I don't know if it's just because I saw this movie. The theater that I was in was spectacular. The theater that I was sitting in, the group of people that were in the audience were the type of, and this is the type of audience I love to watch movies with, that were cheering and
we had that
clapping,
yeah,
and laughing all together. It was so much fun. And I walked out of the movie, and the first thing I said to my husband was, this is my favorite movie of the year so far. I loved it. And I'm getting the sense that maybe you didn't like it as much as I did, but I liked it better than Age of Ultron.
Wow, I'm not gonna go that far.
I liked it better than Kingsman, which has been my favorite movie of this year so far. And I'm not sure if it's just the theater was so amazing and I loved it so much, but I was along for the ride and I loved it. I mean, it did miss some of the stuff that I think it could have had, but I don't think that it for me at least, I don't feel that brought it down. I was just oh, they could have done this, but I wasn't bored or predicting the end of the movie and stuff like that.
Okay, see, and that's where you got. I did. I completely predicted it. There is a thing. Okay, so there's a mystery, and I'm going to use mystery in air quotes because it's a thinly veiled mystery. And of course we won't give anything away too much, but there is a mystery about the genetically engineered dinosaur that
took me completely by surprise.
Well, I cannot believe that, and I don't want to be mean, but how?
I don't know.
It was so obvious to me from the minute we saw even a piece of it.
I think I was just so childlike wonder, oh my gosh, this is a new Jurassic Park movie.
Yeah.
I love it so much. I was sitting this most of the movie and clutching my chest because I was just so happy with what I was seeing on screen. Maybe once I see it again, it'll kind of even out a little bit. So that's why I am giving that disclaimer.
Okay.
But I don't know. I don't know how it passed me by because he predicted that, and he was predicting how do I say this without giving things away?
Maybe you
the
can.
downfall of a certain dinosaur. He predicted exactly how that was going to happen from the opening, and I was he didn't tell me until afterwards, but I was oh no, I had no idea.
By the way, let me throw this little anecdote in real quick because I think this is hilarious. In the credits, of course it says based on characters created by Michael Crichton. I was well, mostly based on dinosaurs created by Michael Crichton, right? Yeah, because there's a couple. I thought it was super cool that the genetic scientist guy from the first movie
BD
is
Wong was
not.
back in in it.
Not just in it, but a pretty major character, comparatively. No, Lo, I have certainly had that with a lot of movies where I was just so jazzed to get to see a thing and was having so much fun with it that certain critical things passed me by, and we all have this to some degree. I guess I am incapable of like being critical about a Star Trek movie until the second time I've seen it, no matter who makes the thing. This, I was surprised that I didn't have that as much. I think I even had that a little bit with Tomorrowland, except I still stand by that movie. I still think that's a great movie. You and I are the only people in the world that gave that a positive review, I guess. But
you gave it a much more positive review than I did.
Well,
you were like, it's the best movie ever.
I still feel like that to a degree, but whatever. Anyway, but with this, and I'm not even gonna put this story-wise over that movie. I'm not even gonna do that. But no, I thought there was some cookie cutter stuff. I thought that the third act was a little bit underwhelming. And there's a part toward the end of second act, beginning of third act, where I got a little bit numbed by the action. When they start doing stuff with pterodactyls, I think it goes on too long.
Really? I like the pterodactyl stuff, and I think because I kind of hate the third Jurassic Park movie, that I was like, yes, like they're bringing back pterodactyls because like they were kind of underutilized in that movie.
Well, like, they were underutilized in the first two, so they finally went, let's do them in the third one, and what they did was so absurd that, yeah, you want to forget it and do it right. Because what you want to do is what they did in this with pterodactyls, which is basically do it like the movie Birds.
Oh, yeah.
That's what that's what you want. You want to go Hitchcock with it, and that's what they did here. In that movie, so if you've not seen this movie yet, I don't mind telling you, at no point do the pterodactyls get on their haunches, get their wings up and start walking across a bridge like this.
Yeah.
But anyway, the other okay, so other story stuff real quick. And I've got a couple complaints there. There are places where people do things that are so stereotypically stupid that I can't decide if it's just that kind of movie or if we could have moved beyond that. Especially because they're and like I don't mean to expect anything too incredibly smart and deep with a movie like this. It's a summer blockbuster. These characters are, but I guess the problem is that these characters, most of them, with the exception of not the military guy, but the head of security guy, who's just really two-dimensional and stereotypical and kind of hilarious in that way. But besides that guy, most of the characters I thought were like a lot more likable than we usually get for Jurassic Park, and a lot more memorable and kind of fun to hang out with. And Chris Pratt was just likable all the way through, and I thought that he was as fully realized as you expect somebody in Jurassic Park to be. So when you have that, when we're improving in that way, I don't want the kids to do the incredibly stupid thing that they really shouldn't have done.
In a dinosaur park.
Yeah.
Like teenagers will do stuff like that, but like in a dinosaur park.
Yeah, that was a little bit too preposterous even for this material, I think.
Yeah. I can agree with you.
I was on the fence about it, but there's stuff like that, and then. And again, the first movie has this, but this one even to a greater degree. Way too many things coinciding coincidentally right at the beginning to get the ball rolling, right? Like there's a whole lot of really important major things that all have to happen at the same time for this story to be told.
All of these people happen to be visiting the island at the same time.
And the exact same day. I mean, this is like a 24-hour time period. Is all it lasts. Is all it is. So and again, the first movie has that. This way more so. Like with the first movie, my big complaint was always, why did the computer guy have to try to steal the embryos that weekend?
Yeah.
Right? When they've got people there, why would you pick that weekend? So there's stuff like that because you want to build something in the story where it's important for those people to be there for some reason, or something. I don't know. Also, I'm surprised I'm saying this. I could have used some aftermath. We get to the end of the movie, and I think it ends too abruptly.
I mean, that kind of is what Jurassic Park movies have done, though. I mean, it's kind of par for the course for them, where it's kind of like, all right, the action's over, and now we're leaving on the helicopter.
It is, but this was the time to change that formula, partly because I think it's too formulaic overall, at least when you get to the third act. At least when you get to the first act, I was completely happy with the setup. But the problem is, and again, I'm going to try to say this without giving anything away, or without implying too much, but I didn't want to get to the end of this movie and think, okay, it was fun to visit here again, but now there's really no reason to ever do this again. And that's where I'm at right now. There's no reason to ever do this again. You know what I mean? And if they want to make more, they totally could have ended in such a way where it would have made sense to come back to this world.
It was very, like, total destruction.
Makes no sense to ever come back to this world. So I'm disappointed with that. If that's the movie they wanted to make, that's fine, and I'm not complaining just because it's not what I wanted, but the problem is, I expect if it makes money, they're going to try to contrive some reason to go back, and it's going to be Lost World all over again. That's my worry. So, like, if this was our last hurrah here, it's fine. I just hope it's our last hurrah.
I hope that it is. Again, like, it's Hollywood, so...
I don't expect that it is.
I'm sure we will go back there.
I didn't do this yet.
I don't hate Lost World. Oh, you're feeling it?
No, I don't hate it. I don't hate it either. I don't think it's a great movie or anything.
Yeah, no, I just feel like they can do a movie that is like Lost World and like Jurassic Park 3, where it's kind of going back to the island for some other reason. It just needs to be done better than it was. Like, the script work on both of those was a little to be desired, and the casting on the third one was...
Well, let's get outside of criticisms, because I don't want to dog on it too hard. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I thought it was a lot of fun. I'll probably see it two or three more times. I really enjoyed myself. Let me ask you a couple questions. First of all, did you think we got, you being a theme park person, I got my theme park expert, I hope there's 4 more theme park movies this year. Did you think that we got to spend enough time in the park proper and get to see enough of the attractions and stuff? Because I loved what we saw, but I would have loved to have spent more time there.
I do think that for me at least, as much as I kept talking about like the sense of wonder that the first film made me feel and that I was getting this again, I do think for me personally it was kind of the perfect amount, and if they had kept going it would have just been like, okay, like, this is a Jurassic Park movie, we know the stuff's gonna hit the fan at some point, like, let's get to it, we know what's gonna happen. And like, I mean, some of the things that were in there that were like just made me feel all warm and fuzzy inside about the attraction stuff was like the employee that's just like, next. Like,
yeah,
I've seen that before, you know. They like little things too, like they have the little the bands, the wristbands, which are something that Disney World does, and they're like the only theme park that does it so far, so that's definitely them taking that from Disney World. But I felt like there was enough of that for me, that I kind of got my dose of it, and then I was like, all right, and now, okay, they're in the gyrosphere, like, let's go, like, things are gonna go down, you know?
If I could, at this point, having finally gotten to see this, and I love the design of that park. I mean, it's just gorgeous, and it seems really realistic. Like, it seems like what that place would look like if you had that. I would be really surprised if this movie is really popular if there's not an attempt to do a more complicated Universal Jurassic Park ride than they even have right now. You know what I mean? And do more of like a whole wing of it or something.
Oh yeah, they could do a whole land like what they're doing with the Harry Potter movies, like with that. And I don't know if you saw it, but they had a lot of they had 2 different websites for this movie. They had an actual Jurassic World website, which I was on a lot before the movie came out, and it had, maybe that's why I feel like I had enough of the kind of looking at the theme park, because they literally had a fully running website that would be like what you would see if you were going to Universal Studios website. That's
so cool. Is it still there?
It's so cool. They have menus for the different restaurants, like every little thing. They've got different live cameras that you can watch of like people going through the park and dinosaurs. Like, I'm sure that was just B-roll that they had shot for, you know, the security cameras and stuff like that, and they just decided to put it up on this website. But it's awesome.
That's neat. That is really cool.
Super cool.
What I was going to say is, when the Oculus Rift finally comes out and I get one, if I could have one program above anything else, it would be Virtual Jurassic World. That would be the coolest thing in the world. We're shooting this on Thursday. We're getting tomorrow Lego Jurassic Park or Lego Jurassic World, and they're doing all 4 movies in that. I can't imagine what they're going to do, what they did with 3, but whatever. All 4 movies are in that game.
Paragliding simulator.
And I imagine that there will be some pseudo-open world walk all around that park.
Oh, I hope so. That'll probably be like the hub, I would imagine.
That'll be exciting, and that'll be Maybe so, and that'll of course be in Lego. But I wish we could get a thing, because I don't know of any other Jurassic Park game coming out right now. I wish we could get something like that for like more realistic.
There's hope for it. There's a Disneyland game for Kinect that I own and love. It's totally for children, but I love it. Where you get to walk around Disneyland and they have like little mini games at each ride and stuff. So there's totally hope for that. Being a thing.
There were so many Jurassic Park games that I'm really surprised that I'm not hearing anything about anything more than Lego.
Yeah.
For this, but because it made me want to go back to the Genesis and play the game where you play as the Velociraptor.
I have that game.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. I do too. I'm thinking about doing a platforming hour on it, maybe next week, because it's a lot of fun and really freaking hard. Because like getting that Velociraptor inside that freaking tube on the second or third level, oh my god, it's impossible.
I could never get past the second level. I mean, I was like 3 or 4 like when the Genesis came out. I'm sorry, I'm aging myself, but like, you know, I've tried it since then, and that's a hard game.
It's tough. But anyway, okay, I said I was going to get away from criticisms, but I gotta say this.
It's okay. It's okay.
The gyrosphere thing, that'd be programmable and automatic, yes?
Yes, the fact that they were steering
that they could drive it, and that you could call them back, and they could be like, no, we're just going to keep driving around. No, even the Jeeps in the first movie were programmed and drove themselves.
Yeah, they were on like a track.
They were on a track, yeah. This would, and you saw all that futuristic technology. They had holograms in this. They had like almost futuristic technologies.
I will say that I did when they were first showing the control room and like the hologram of the dinosaurs at the beginning. I was like, whoa, this is like more futuristic than I would have expected.
They went a little too far with that, I think.
From the website, they like have a whole backstory of this. It's been open since 2005. They're approaching their 10th anniversary.
Why wasn't that in the movie? I kept wondering about that stuff.
So it's like canon that this is taking place like now with our technology. It's taking place in 2015, and yet there's like holographic or hologram
now you could
dinosaurs.
you could make the argument that because you've got futuristic tech ish in that they've genetically engineered dinosaurs, that they might have people that have gone farther with that kind of technology, and that they just keep them in-house, and that, it's not available anywhere. Microsoft doesn't have it or whatever. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. Maybe that's what they're doing, but I thought that was a little odd. Whatever. Vincent D'Onofrio that's his name, yes? Yeah. So, the guy, and it took me half the movie before I realized that's who it was. The guy who plays the head of security guy is Kingpin from Daredevil. And I lost my mind when I got halfway through it and realized that's who it was. He is, and like, it took me a couple scenes after I realized it to decide if it definitely was him. That guy was in disguise, and he is one of the most versatile actors we've got in Hollywood right now.
I did not pick up on that at all. I wasn't even thinking that I recognized him. Like, there were other people that I was like, I recognize this person, where do I know them from? But like...
Yeah, well, the guy who took over for John Hammond, who's the CEO. By the way, I thought he was really neat. He was a lot of fun and eccentric. He was the.
He's Pi.
He's the. Sorry, what's that?
He's Pi from Life of Pi.
I haven't seen that. But he's also the if memory serves, the Middle Eastern guy from Amazing Spider-Man, who works for Wilson Fisk, or not Wilson Fisk, who works for you know who I'm talking about.
He might be. I can't remember. It's been a while since I actually.
No, I'm positive that's who that is. I don't know his name.
He was also in the last Airbender movie.
Osborn, yeah. But I guess he's a character actor that's got a lot of work. But anyway, so yeah, I recognize lots of people. But it took me a while before I recognized him, and he is so versatile that he just shows up in things and nobody remembers that that's who it is. Like he was the bad guy, like bug eating guy in Men in Black. I didn't realize that. Like, he's...
Whoa!
Yeah, that's who that is.
Whoa!
Isn't that wacky?
That is weird. I would not have pegged that.
Anyway, so I really enjoyed it. Like I said, he was pretty two-dimensional. I felt like that was partially on purpose. I don't know. Yeah. I kind of enjoyed that.
While we're on the subject of actors, the older boy in this movie, he's from a movie that I really like called Kings of Summer. I don't know if you've seen it. It's like a coming-of-age movie. And I've seen him in nothing else. At least not that I can remember. Like, he might be in stuff that I just can't remember. But, like, he's the main character in that, and then he's in this. And I'm really happy because he's a great actor. Like, in Kings of Summer, he blows me away. He's the main character in that. And to see him, even though he didn't get as much as I would have liked to have seen from him, because I know that he can do a lot, I'm really happy that he was in this because I feel like that'll get him better roles because he was in Jurassic World.
Yeah, and this movie is probably going to perform. I think it has had the best ad campaign I've seen this year.
Mm-hmm.
Its ad campaign is amazing. There is, by the way, I don't know if you've seen this, and I don't remember what company it is, but there's, I'm trying to remember if it's shaving cream or what it is, but there's a company that has a tie-in to Jurassic World where they show the bit from the first movie from Jurassic Park with the disguised shaving cream container being rained on. And it's a company for if it was shaving cream or whatever it was that was in that canister. Yeah, and they've got a Jurassic World tie-in, and they're using that to sell shaving cream. I think that's hilarious.
There was so much product placement in this movie. Every time that we were in the hub area, I was like, oh, there's that. There's a Jamba Juice.
There was a Starbucks, and there was a Pandora Jewelers.
Yeah, Pandora.
Yeah.
That was great. What did you think? What did you think of the third act kind of battle royale that was happening?
The first thing I thought of was anybody who didn't care for the recent Godzilla movie finally got what they were wanting. You know what I mean?
I didn't care for the recent Godzilla movie, and I got what I was wanting.
Yeah, I think some people were a little bit worried that this would be too much of a monster movie, and the argument could be made that these are sort of supposed to be that, or at least that that's what they've been, famously since the beginning. So when they, create a thing that is more monster than dinosaur, it kind of makes sense that we would go there. I thought that was great. I also think that, and I liked the way that whole bit, ended. The climax was a lot of fun.
I was cheering when the audience member.
The audience did too. My audience did too. Yeah, that was the one thing that they kind of broke up about. But what I liked about it was I remember even being a kid thinking that and this kind of thing is sort of superficial for me. I'm such a character and story guy, but this is about spectacle also. So when you get to the end of Jurassic Park, the big thing at the end with the Velociraptors and the T-Rex doesn't go on as long as you'd like it to, and we finally got that fight. And so I think that's what was really cool about it. I will also say that there were bits where I was a little let down by the integration of the CG. Couple of places.
Yes, I will say that where they used animatronics though, they were really well utilized. Like
I just wish they'd done it more.
With a Brontosaurus that's lying on the ground, and at first I was like, oh, this is CG. Oh wait, no, it's not. It's an animatronic, and it looked that real that I was kind of finding it hard to tell the difference between the two.
This is probably completely unfair and way too much to ask for, but I wish somehow it's really easy to just sit here in your basement and criticize filmmakers, but there's a part of me that really wishes that somehow or rather the rule of thumb, and I know that if they had done it this way, things would not have been as spectacular, but I wish the rule of thumb somehow could have been, if a human character is supposed to be in the same frame with a dinosaur, that it is done in animatronic, because there are 2 or 3 places of blue screen where they just don't even look like they're in the same place to me. And I did
notice a couple things.
I don't like that.
There's I forget what it was, but it was like a Samsung logo that was like Samsung Theater or something that was over one of the buildings. And as the camera was coming down, I was like, I can tell that isn't there.
Oh, weird.
That wasn't practical. I could tell that the rest of it was a practical set, like maybe it was a miniature or something. But the Samsung logo was so bad. I was like, oh.
See, for me, it was more, and I doubt very much that they used any miniatures in this movie, but maybe so. But for me, it was more
something. Maybe it was just a set.
For me, it was more people running and something chasing them, and they just look like they're running in front of a blue screen. And I mean, it looked as good as it probably could have, I guess. But the problem is, everything in Jurassic Park looks real to me. Everything. There's not a frame of that movie where I don't feel like everything is
really
still. Yeah.
I feel like the scene where they're first in that Jeep and they stand up and see all the different herbivores.
Oh no, that part's awful.
That is terrible.
That's awful. Okay, I forgot about that part.
I was like, really?
I'm going to amend what I said to except for parts that I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. But yeah, and you can't expect everything to be practical with a thing like this.
Yeah.
And again, like you know, we did mostly animatronic in '94, and so you wanted a lot of it to be that way. But to realize certain things they really wanted to do, you just couldn't have. You know, you can't put 100 pterodactyls in the air and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know. So anyway, anything else you wanted to bring up and talk about?
No. I mean, I was really impressed with all of the acting in this movie. I know I already touched on it.
The kids were fine.
Dallas Howard
and
is another one of my favorite. I love her. Like The Village is one of my favorite movies, and she's amazing in it. And I was so glad to see her in a role that required her to cry again, because she's so good at looking terrified. Like, I liked it.
I expected
like seeing her cry.
That's hilarious. I expected to hate the kids, and I didn't. They were fine.
Yeah.
I wish that their subplot, that they're somewhat tossed in for the sake of some extra drama subplot about their family dynamic could have been roped in more thematically to the rest of what was going on, because there was...
It wasn't really resolved either.
No, it was just there. There was an... yeah, because you get to the end and there's the parents and then it's over. I thought that... Because there's a thing about... I don't think this is giving too much away. It's an obvious sort of thing. There's a thing there about divorce, and I thought that the clear way to tie that into a thing about extinct animals is self-evolving. Like finding a way to adapt to a situation. There was a clear place to take that, and it felt like it was just completely random and tossed in there. So that's unfortunate. But I thought the kids were fine.
Yeah. One thing I did want to talk about, the references to the original Jurassic Park movie.
Just enough of them, and
just enough.
Yeah.
Like, just enough moments where I was like, like, that's from the original movie, but, you know, it's not like we were bringing back all the same characters. Like, we mentioned Hammond, we had B.D. Wong's character in there, and, like, a couple little things, like the T-shirt gag, and, like, visiting some of the old places that we've seen before. And even having some kind of cool callbacks while we were there was cool, but they didn't overdo it.
No, there was just enough nostalgia for my taste, and like I said, the only thing that I felt like was a big problem in the nostalgia department was kind of taking too much of the formula and not subverting that like I think they ought to have. But as far as calling back the stuff from that period and just showing how much the world has changed since then, I think this is a movie and we keep trying that kind of thing with these sorts of things. I think this one handles it as well as anything has. I found myself thinking about even, and I hadn't thought of this before I saw the movie, even the logo, where like now we've taken it and made it like black and white and it looks almost cold and sterile, and before it was more colorful, and again, like you said, red, but and red because blood and stuff. But but I think that's kind of interesting that it kind of reflects a little bit of the signs of the times. We got to make everything seem a little bit edgier, and making that new dinosaur was all about making something scarier, even though that's a terrible idea. So anyway, I thought all that was great. There was something about that I wanted to mention also that I thought was really fun, and well, anyway, I don't want to get too in depth about it. There was a thing they mentioned about Hammond that bugged me a little bit, but I don't want to talk about that here. Maybe you and I can talk about it afterwards. But anyway, no, that was all super fun and exciting. Last thing I want to mention, I know we've been going for a while. I had issues with the soundtrack. Can't believe I'm saying that.
Yeah, 1 second.
Oh.
Sorry, my computer's about to die.
Oh.
I just realized it.
I thought maybe you had to kill a spider.
No, not a spider. It was a pterodactyl.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that a lot of it is fine. Sometimes I thought that Giacchino went a little over the top. in the soundtrack. It was just
Really?
some of it was distracting, and this is gonna sound really, really weird. I think he's getting a little too much Hollywood work right now. He's becoming kind of our new like I don't want to say
go-to guy.
Yeah, he's kind of the new John Williams. He's kind of the new Danny Elfman.
It's partly because he works with J.J. Abrams, and now that J.J. Abrams is up there, he's kind of bringing him along because they've had a long history together.
That's exactly what it is, and the thing is, I just don't think that his soundtracks overall are as memorable as some of that stuff, and it doesn't all sound the same. It's just that sometimes the sensibilities that he has don't necessarily mesh with the project he's working on. So, like, when he did Star Trek, I remember thinking that, but adjusting to it, and thinking, okay, well, it's kind of a new Star Trek, and he's found a way to integrate his sensibilities into it. And we talked about this the last review we did, but there was so much lost stuff in that Star Trek soundtrack. He's moved almost too far away from it now, because this movie, of all things, could have used it. Could have used more of the lost sensibility. I thought he was going a little bit too in an adventure, like I don't know, like a grandiose adventure place, and I don't know if too much of a thriller place or what, but like there were just things that didn't quite mesh with John Williams' original music that he was mixing in there, and some of it didn't fit to me.
I will say I didn't notice the soundtrack at all,
I think about that kind of thing a lot.
For the moments when the original theme came in, which I only noticed twice, so maybe I didn't even notice it that much, but like I noticed the original theme at the beginning and at the end, and I was very happy that it wasn't in there like the whole time just being like, look, it's a Jurassic Park movie, here's the theme. But other than that, I was not paying attention to the soundtrack, and I don't know if that's a credit to it or a credit against it.
Well, and I'll also say that it might just be me. I imagine that I was critical of it because when I saw his name, I went, okay, interesting choice, and I think I was thinking about him too much. Maybe was the problem.
I didn't even know that he did this until you mentioned it. I looked up.
I want to take some of this footage when this movie comes out and make make a short video where I take clips from this movie and put some of that walking across on landscapes lost music in there with like dun 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 dun
classic lost
because that stuff would have fit this, and like I said, it was in Star Trek, so like there's precedent for him using some of that. So anyway, I'm just saying.
Oh wait, I did notice one moment where the soundtrack dropped out. That was another moment where I noticed the soundtrack or the lack thereof. I think it was kind of the first moment where we're really interacting with the kind of the first like thriller moment of the movie where the dinosaur is escaping. Spoiler: dinosaur escapes in Jurassic Park movie.
What?
I'm pretty sure it was then the music dropped out, and I actually was like, oh, this is making it like more like intense because like there's nothing going on. It's just kind of like silence for a second.
Yeah. Importantly, though, that's a tradition. Like that's not just a choice. That's what we did with the Jeep scene with the water in the glass. Like, oh no, absolutely it does. I'm just saying he had to do that somewhere, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, well, we're getting too into the nitty-gritty now, so I think that's our cue to leave. But anyway, thanks as always for watching. We sure appreciate it, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it too. I think I'm more critical of it.
I think I was more critical of Tomorrowland than you were. But since it was my first review, I was like, I don't want to say too much.
I wish we duked it out. That would have been fun.
Oh, I know.
We'll do a follow-up. But anyway, well, thanks for watching, folks, and let us know if you've seen Jurassic World, what you thought of it in the comments. And in the meantime, I am Captain Logan.
And I'm the Curious Love.
And we'll see you again very soon.